You ever look around your house and think, this stuff's not worth much? Let me tell you something: when collapse hits and systems fail and desperation replaces convenience, the cheapest, most ignored items in your home will suddenly become survival gold. I'm not talking about fancy gear or viral prepper junk. I'm talking about the things no one's guarding. The things sitting in your kitchen drawer, your garage shelf, your laundry cabinet just waiting to be noticed. Because after the collapse, you won't be shopping. You'll be scavenging. And the person who already owns the right overlooked items? They won't just survive. They'll control the trade. In this video, I'll show you 9 insanely cheap household items that'll skyrocket in value once the grid is gone. You won't see these on flashy prepper lists, but you'll wish you had them when everything goes quiet. And just so we're clear, this channel isn't here to scare you. We're not telling you to panic buy. We're telling you to prepare smart, to notice the value before the world wakes up and clears the shelves. Because by the time everyone else figures it out, you'll already be 3 steps ahead. Number 1. Vacuum. Seal storage bags. Manual pump compatible. Most people use them to save closet space. But when the collapse hits, vacuum seal storage bags turn into one of the smartest survival tools you can own. Why? Because they're more than just organizers. They're silent shields that protect your gear, your food, your meds, and your edge when the world gets unpredictable. Here's the reality no one talks about. Collapse is messy. Moisture creeps in. Mold grows. Rodents sniff out supplies. And the second your stored items get damp, contaminated, or torn, they're gone. You don't get a do-over. You don't get clean replacements. You get regret. But with vacuum seal bags, you lock your gear inside an airtight vault that repels the very chaos collapse thrives on. I use them for more than clothes. I've sealed dry rice, oats, socks, fire starter, even sensitive documents. Once sealed, nothing gets in. No moisture, no air, no pests. And paired with a manual pump, no power needed, you can vacuum them flat anywhere, anytime. That means your supplies don't just stay safe, they stay compact. And in a bug-out world, space matters more than ever. Imagine needing to haul 3 days' worth of supplies in one go. Regular storage, bulky, noisy, and disorganized. But a sealed, compressed pack of food, socks, and meds? Silent, streamlined, protected. You're not just carrying, you're gliding. And the best part? People overlook them. You show up at a barter post with 3 airtight packs of clean food while everyone else is battling mildew. You don't just make trades, you make deals. I store over 30 bags. Some pre-packed, some empty with pumps attached. They weigh nothing, cost next to nothing. But the value they protect? That's priceless. Collapse doesn't just punish the unprepared, it punishes the sloppy. And a ripped bag or soggy bundle is all it takes to turn advantage into desperation. So let me ask you straight, are you storing smart? Or are you trusting cardboard boxes and hope? Because in collapse, the guy who keeps his gear dry, tight, and ready doesn't just survive. He stays sharp, he stays mobile, and he stays ahead. Number 2. Rubber door stoppers. Rubber door stoppers sounds boring, right? Like something you'd find in a forgotten corner of your home improvement drawer. But in a real-world collapse, these small, silent tools become your personal security upgrade. No batteries, no noise, no failures. Just pure mechanical control over something that matters more than most people realize. Your doors. Here's the deal. When everything goes dark, the most dangerous thing isn't just what's outside. It's who can get inside. Your doors become both defense and vulnerability. And while people scramble for locks and barricades they forgot to prep, the guy with a handful of rubber wedges, he's already secured every entry without saying a word. These little tools do more than just stop doors. In a collapse, they act as fast, deploy barriers. You jam one under a door at night? It's not opening without noise or force, and that gives you time. Time to react, time to move, time to protect what's yours. I've seen them used to block entry during storms, hold doors open for ventilation without them slamming, and even wedge windows shut against pressure. They're compact, nearly indestructible, and they don't require any tools, keys, or batteries. Just shove and forget. Need to leave a door slightly cracked for airflow but don't want it swinging wide in the wind? Door stopper. Need to silently brace an interior door in a group shelter without waking people up? Door stopper. You want to stop a curious looter, a desperate stranger, or even just the wind from blowing your security wide open? This tiny wedge suddenly becomes your tactical anchor. I carry 4 in my go bag, thick rubber grade, tapered tight, tested on tile, wood, and concrete. You'd be shocked how many people try to kick in a door and stop cold when they hit a dead wedge. I've even bartered one for food in a crowded camp, because when people can't sleep without fear, even a little security becomes priceless. So ask yourself, do your doors open quietly? Or are you the only one who decides when they open at all? Because in collapse, the guy with the wedge is the guy who stays inside. And that's exactly where you want to be. Number 3, metal mesh strainer. It sits in your kitchen drawer, used for rinsing rice or draining pasta, nothing special. But in a collapse, that same metal mesh strainer becomes a critical piece of survival gear that most people will overlook until it's too late. Why? Because when systems fail, and you're left with raw, dirty, or scavenged supplies, a fine mesh barrier becomes your first line of filtration and prep. Let's be clear. Collapse doesn't mean clean conditions. Water isn't safe. Food isn't washed. Ashes, insects, dirt, and debris become part of daily survival. And the guy who can separate usable from dangerous without a lab or fancy gear? That's the guy who keeps moving. A fine mesh strainer lets you pre-filter water before purifying it. Remove leaves, sand, algae chunks, extend the life of your real filter or boil time. It's not a purifier, it's a gatekeeper. And every second you save your main gear from clogging, that's a step closer to long-term survival. But it doesn't stop at water. You can sift flour, ash for soap making, wild grains, or even bugs and debris out of salvaged dry goods. Need to rinse wild herbs or roots? Mesh strainer. Need to cool down small cooked items fast? Mesh strainer. Foraging something in bulk but need to check it for rocks or waste? This tool turns chaos into order with zero noise, no power, and full control. And here's what most people miss. It's metal. That means it can handle heat, be disinfected with fire, and take a beating. You drop it, still works. You burn it, still filters. That plastic junk, gone in a week. I keep one clipped inside my field pack. Stainless steel, medium fine mesh, tested on both food and water. It weighs nothing but pays off big every time I need to process wild or unknown goods. I've even used it once to sift crushed charcoal for a basic, improvised water setup. The guy watching traded me a knife just to get mine. So ask yourself, when your clean food runs out and your water looks cloudy, do you have a tool to separate what you can use from what might kill you? Because in collapse, the one who filters out failure. Number 4, hardcover books. You probably have a few sitting on a shelf somewhere. Dusty, ignored, maybe boxed up in storage. But after the collapse, those same old hardcover books, especially encyclopedias and how-to manuals, transform into one of the most underrated survival assets you'll ever own. Not just for the knowledge, but for the leverage. Let's break it down. When the grid goes down, so does Google. There's no YouTube, no forums. Just you, your group, and what you actually know. And when you're trying to build, cook, mend, purify, identify, or repair something, your memory won't be enough. But that old book on edible plants? That survival manual on building off-grid shelters? Suddenly, it's more than paper, it's power. These aren't just books. They're offline blueprints to help you adapt, teach others, barter, or even lead, and that makes them priceless. I've seen entire communities revolve around a single medical manual after aid stopped arriving. I've bartered a wilderness guide for a week's worth of canned food because someone's kid was sick and they didn't know what wild herbs were safe. Hardcover books last. They're durable. They can handle rough handling, humidity, even serve as heat shields in gear bags or support for improvised shelves. I once used a thick encyclopedia under my solar panel to prop up the angle during a storm. Worked like a Charmin, didn't bend. And let's not ignore morale. In collapse, the days get long. The mental wear gets brutal. Having something ending to read, to think, to teach your kids from? That's not just entertainment. That's mental survival. It's a reminder of civilization when everything else screams chaos. I keep a rotating stash, one on field medicine, one on edible plants of North America, one on basic mechanics, and a condensed world encyclopedia set I scored from a thrift store. They're in sealed bins, dry-packed with silica packets, waiting. Because when my power's gone, my books won't be. So think hard. When information disappears, and everyone's guessing, will you be the one who remembers, or the one who's begging for answers? Because in collapse, the guy with the books doesn't just survive, He teaches, he trades, he leads. Number 5. Twine or jute rope. Most people see it as a simple string used for tying packages or hanging plants. But when the collapse begins, that same roll of twine or jute rope becomes one of the most silent, versatile, and tradable survival tools you can own. It's not flashy, it's not tactical looking, but it does more jobs than half the gear people carry without making a sound. Think about it. When fuel's gone and systems are offline, everything becomes manual. Shelter building, gear bundling, hanging supplies, setting traps, rigging alarms, every task starts with securing something, and for that, cordage becomes gold. But not the thick, obvious kind. That gets heavy, clunky, and loud. What you need is something fast, flexible, and easy to replace. That's where jute twine shines. Jute is biodegradable, which means it's perfect for survival snares, garden tie-downs, or perimeter trip alarms. You use it once, leave it behind, and nature does the rest. It holds strong under tension but is easy to break in emergencies. I've used it to set makeshift clotheslines, repair tent flaps, tie logs together, and even hang solar lights during night watch duty. And let's talk about stealth. You don't want bright orange paracord screaming your location from 100 feet away. But natural jute? It blends into terrain, tree trunks, even your clothing. I once tied a series of soft loop gear holders inside a tree shelter using nothing but twine. Silent, hidden, effective. Barter value? Through the roof. People never pack enough. You offer clean, dry bundles of strong jute in a camp where someone's trying to hang food or build shelter, you've got leverage. I store rolls of it vacuum sealed, cut in pre-measured lengths. I keep one full roll in my main go bag, and strips woven into my fire kit because yes, jute also makes excellent tinder. So let me ask you, when it's time to build, hang, trap, or fix, will you have the line that holds? Because in collapse, the one with the quietest rope stays secure, stays hidden, stays ahead. Number 6. Eyeglass repair kit. Tiny screws, micro tools, something you've probably never even looked at unless your glasses broke. But after a collapse, that little eyeglass repair kit becomes one of the most valuable micro-survival tools you can carry, especially when precision, durability, and self-reliance become everything. Here's the truth most preppers ignore. The smaller the failure, the more it can cost you. A loose screw, broken hinge, or bent wire on your glasses, your watch, or your gear that can knock you out of the game if you don't have the means to fix it. And trust me, collapse doesn't come with spare parts. An eyeglass repair kit isn't just for glasses. Those tiny flathead and Phillips drivers? Perfect for tuning radios, tightening knife pivots, or even maintaining weapon optics. I once used the magnetized driver to fix a stove igniter that everyone else said was toast. Took 2 minutes. Saved the group a week's worth of fuel by getting it back online. Those tiny screws? I've used them to patch loose hinges on gearboxes, re-secure solar panel mounts, and replace a lost bolt in a multi-tool. You keep that kit dry, sealed, and close, it becomes your surgical toolkit for small-scale breakdowns. And in a collapse, even the smallest breakdown can turn fatal if ignored. I carry one in every kit, one in my go bag, one in my tool pouch, one sealed in my long-term bin. They weigh nothing, take no space. But I've traded a kit for canned meat before because the guy's only pair of glasses fell apart and no one else could fix it. So ask yourself, when the fine gear starts to fail, the thread strip, or a hinge goes loose, do you have the precision to fix it? Because in collapse, it's not always the big things that bring you down. Sometimes it's the smallest screw that keeps everything holding together. Number 7. Old pillowcases. You've probably got a few stuffed in the back of your closet, faded, stretched out, maybe stained. But when the world flips and survival becomes the new currency, old pillowcases transform into one of the most underestimated multi-use tools in your entire house. Let's get straight to it. Collapse doesn't give you luxury. You won't have clean filters, sterile bags, or a fresh set of gear for every job. You'll need to adapt fast, and that's where a simple cotton pillowcase becomes your best backup. It's cloth, it's breathable, it's strong, and it's a blank slate for dozens of survival uses. Need a field bag? Not the corners. You've got a soft, quiet pouch for foraging, carrying supplies, or storing tools. Need to filter water? Run your source water through the fabric before boiling. It won't purify, but it'll trap sediment and grime. That's not just cleaner water, that's longer filter life. In a dust storm, fire zone, or infection-prone shelter, wet it, wrap it, and you've got a makeshift dust mask or smoke barrier. Someone gets injured? Use it as a sling, a tourniquet, or to pack a wound when supplies run low. I've used them to line boots, patch tents, and even blackout windows when stealth mattered more than airflow. And when it's cold and gear is limited, you stuff it with grass, leaves, or spare clothes, and boom, instant insulation pillow. That's not comfort, that's rest, and rest is survival. Most people throw old ones away. I collect them, washed, folded, sealed dry in storage bins. Lightweight, low bulk, and high barter value. I once traded 2 pillowcases for a working headlamp because the guy needed dust masks and had nothing clean to cut. So think about it. When things fall apart, will you be scrambling for gear you overlooked? Or will you be the one turning soft cloth into hard solutions? Because in collapse, the guy with the trash bag of old fabric becomes the one with options, and the ones with options they don't beg, they build. Number 8. Stainless steel mixing bowl. You've used it to mix pancake batter, maybe tossed a salad in it. But after the collapse, that large stainless steel mixing bowl sitting in your kitchen turns into one of the most useful survival tools you didn't know you already owned. Here's why it matters. When modern kitchen gear is gone and cooking returns to basics, versatility is everything. That's where a steel bowl shines. It's more than a container, it's a prep surface, wash basin, signal device, makeshift pot, reflector, and barter item all in one. Start with cooking. Stainless steel takes heat. That means you can set it right over an open flame to warm food, purify water, or steam wild greens. You're not stuck with cast iron weight, just clean, reliable heat transfer. I've boiled drinking water over a camp stove with mine more times than I can count. It's fast, efficient, and doesn't warp under pressure. Now think of sanitation. You need to wash bandages, prep food, clean gear. Where's your basin? That same bowl becomes your go-to sink. Fill it with water, and you've got a controlled cleaning zone. Add a drop of bleach, and now you've got a safe sterilizing solution for tools or wound care. Need to catch rain? Use it. Need to reflect sunlight for signaling? Use it. Need to amplify a weak light source in a dark room? Flip it behind the flame. Stainless steel doesn't just sit there, it works for you. And when it comes to barter, people will trade high for clean, usable cookware once the shelves are empty. I've seen a guy trade away ammo just to get a second bowl because his group grew, and they were cooking in turns. I store 2. One in my field gear, one sealed in long-term storage. No plastic, no glass, just steel, durable, washable, reliable. So ask yourself, when clean water, heat, and prep become mission critical, will you have the one item that does all 3? Because in collapse, the guy with the steel bowl isn't mixing. He's winning. Number 9. Silicone baking mats. You probably use them to keep cookies from sticking, but after a collapse, silicone baking mats quickly turn into one of the most underestimated multi-use survival tools in your entire home setup. Not flashy, not tactical looking, but when you break down what they do and how long they last, they're borderline genius. Here's what most people forget. In a survival situation, clean surfaces become luxury. You can't trust every table, rock, or log. You need a reliable prep space for food, medicine, fire making, even first aid. Silicone mats give you that surface waterproof, heat-resistant, flexible, and reusable hundreds of times. Let's start with cooking. You drop one on a flat rock or makeshift grill, and you've got a non-stick, food-safe surface for baking, drying, or prepping wild ingredients. You don't lose calories to burning or sticking. Need to dehydrate sliced roots or herbs under the sun? Use the mat. Need to knead dough or roll foraged grains? Use the mat. Need a clean space to prep medical supplies? You guessed it, use the mat. Now think insulation. In wet or snowy conditions, a silicone mat under your cooking pot or fire starter can keep moisture from ruining your setup. I've used one to light tinder in snow and saved hours of frustration. I've even folded one into a funnel to pour dry rice into a tight-necked container. Try doing that with bark or foil, it doesn't end well. These mats are also easy to clean, nearly indestructible, and weigh next to nothing. They roll up, slide into any pack, and last for years. I keep one in every major kit field bag, vehicle bin, and long-term stash. I've bartered one before for antibiotics because a family needed a clean food prep surface, and everything they had was soaked. You don't realize how valuable a flat, sterile, reusable surface is until you don't have one. So ask yourself, when hygiene, Food safety and prep zones matter most. Will you be cutting onions on a rock or rolling out strategy on a mat? Because in collapse, the guy with the silicone square isn't just cooking, he's controlling the chaos. So now you know. While everyone's hoarding gold and gadgets, it's the simple, overlooked household items like an old pillowcase, a silicone mat, or a steel bowl that become game changers when the lights go out. These aren't backup tools, they're real-world survival assets hiding in plain sight. But here's the truth. Knowing about them isn't enough. Because by the time the shelves are empty, it's already too late. The ones who act early, who stack smart, not flashy, they're the ones who stay calm while others lose everything. If you've made it this far, you're not just watching out of curiosity. You feel it. That pull in your gut that says things aren't stable, that something's coming. So don't wait. Hit that subscribe button right now, not for me, not for clicks. For you. For the version of you that's standing in chaos with full control because you did what others didn't. This isn't entertainment. This is survival intel, and we're just getting started.